Yo, what's going on, guys? This is the build that I'll be using for today's video. And the subspecies that I use is the plus 5% armor on the cerato. And I'm going to go over the build as the video goes on and your other options. Keep in mind this is more group PvP, but you could still use this build solo. Because recently carrion feeder did get buffed from 5% to 15%. So for anyone wondering, what carrion feeder does is you take 15% less damage when a body corpse is down, but it has to be a player or else it won't count. Now I'm quickly going to tell you about the two other subspecies you could use, and that is plus 10 stam recovery and plus 10 venom and bleed heal, which are both really good, but I just prefer to be a little bit more tanky, as the Cera already is really tanky, and you know, the more shots you can take, the better. Also, the Cera, the one weakness of the Cera is, you know, it's got bad turn radius, but that's why you have Duke to make up for that. But other than that, you have decent speed, decent stamina, so yeah. I'm going to start with the passive, which is your cracked scutes, which actually got a change recently, which I consider to be a buff. So now, so it stacks up to 3 times, and each stack gives you 5%, sorry, not 15% armor instead of 10. It used to be 10% armor and it stacked up to 5, so you'd get 50%, but now it just stacks up to 3 and you get 45%, which I actually think is better because it takes 30 seconds of not getting hit for your scutes to come back, which isn't that bad, but you know, you're not gonna, for 2.5 minutes to get all your scutes back, you're not gonna be out that long unless you're healing. Whereas 30 seconds isn't that bad, you know, so, or even a minute and a half to get all your 45% armor instead of 2.5 minutes for 50% armor, which I think it's a buff, because in prolonged fights, you can always wait 30 seconds and get 15 instead of 10. So I think it actually works to your advantage as long as you play it right. Moving on to the head slots, I use the normal bite as it does medium damage and it's just the most consistent and really good for tail riding and just face fighting all around. And then I use the charge bite, which charge up attack, and it's a charge up attack that inflicts fracture based on how long it's held. It also got a buff, went from 30 damage to 45 in this recent update. And it can't trigger a full bone break, which I think is good, because a full bone break makes someone immune for 50 seconds to any fractures, bone breaks, stuff like that. So yeah, I actually like it that way. Moving on, the other choice you have is rapid strikes, which it's actually really good when you get a corpse down, because you deal 100% increased damage within 75 meters of a player's corpse. So that's really good. It does really good damage, and it's really good for someone who wants to tail ride. Example, bigger apexes, or maybe even face tank. But yeah, it does really good damage. But I would use that more in a group build, because I just prefer, if I'm solo, to have the charge bite and the normal bite. Because there's just more versatility, and it kind of fracture increases your kill potential, because when you slow something down that could run away from you before, it can't get away. So yeah, for example, like Apache. Your other option is Swerve, a bite attack that rapidly turns to face behind you and change your direction. So this one's really good because it instantly bites, unlike when you juke and then bite, because there's like a 1 second delay between juke and bite. But this one instantly does it, which is really good, and you can just use it because the juke does have a cooldown for a couple of seconds, so you could just use it for, you know, extra maneuverability, you know, so no one can tail ride you, because the Cerato's turn radius is pretty bad. And your last option is Thrash, which is pretty good, but I just don't like taking unnecessary damage, especially if you're better than someone. You know, and you're just tail riding them or just outplaying them. You don't take any damage with normal bites, but with Thrash you're always going to take damage. I actually did get buffed from 75% reflect damage to 50, which is nice, but still, I just don't really like using Thrash. Now moving on to the Sense, and I'm going to explain why I use Alpha 1 over the newly buffed Berserker, in a group at least. Gain 8%, 8% damage and 10% increased health recovery rate just when you have it ×1, but it stacks up to 5, so you could get 40% increased damage all the time. So you don't have to wait till you're 25% HP like Berserker. You have it all the time, and you have it anywhere from 8% to 40% with 5. So it's just really good because the whole time you have it, instead of, sometimes you don't even get low in a fight, so Berserker's not going to pop, and it's not going to help you, but Alpha 1 is always there. But if I'm solo, Berserker for sure, so I'll tell you what Berserker does right now. When low in health, your attacks cooldown 25% faster and deal 25% more damage, which it actually got buffed from 10% to 25, which is really good. So yeah, Berserker's not bad at all, but in a group build, I prefer Alpha 1. Your other two options are Bulwark, so you do 10% reduced damage but gain 50% increased health recovery rate, which I think it's just bad. You're missing out on damage for health recovery, and for health recovery to even matter, you have to get away from the fight and then heal up, which honestly, it's not worth it. And it's not like this is an Alio that can get away from everything. You're playing the Cerato, you don't have that type of speed to get away from people, and you're not like the Conk where you're semi-aquatic. Your other option is Carcass Tracker. Passively tracks dinosaur carcasses within 250 meters. Also gain 25% increased eating speed, which is just PvE really. It's not going to help you do it in the fight. So yeah. Now moving on to the metabolism, I use Hyper Carnivore. Only able to eat fresh meat, so player corpses and critters. And then your other option is Scavenger, can eat noxious meat, fish, carrion and bones. Which is okay, but I mean, if you're killing stuff consistently, then it doesn't matter to use that one because you can't eat normal meat. So yeah. Now moving on to the hide, which I think is the most important part of this build, is Carrion Feeder, which recently got buffed. So while near a player's corpse, all enemies within 75 meters of you deal 15% reduced damage. Stacks up to 3 times. So when you kill a player, which should be your main goal, just focus one person, it can even be a baby, it doesn't matter. They deal 45% reduced damage with 3 ceratos running this, which is really good. It's way better than, for example, your other option, Solid Frame, and I'll kind of explain why. Also, Carrion Feeder has always been really good in my opinion. I was using it before the change. Before it used to be 5% armor and it used to stack up to 5 times. I mean, not 5% armor, 5% reduced damage, and it would stack up to 5 times with 5 ceratos. So you get 25 instead of 45. And yeah, so it's actually a really good change. I really like the buff. But anyway, your other options are Solid Frame, gain 100% increased maximum health but lose 50% stats effect heal. And here's a problem with Solid Frame. Okay, yes, the health is really nice, but you're gonna do really bad against fractures, bone breaks, bleed and poison. Like your healing's gonna be very bad and it could be a very big problem for you. So if you're solo, I would suggest Robust Jaws, especially if you're good at not getting hit and just good at dueling. Deal 25% more damage but lose 12.5% maximum health. If you're wondering, in a face fight, Robust Jaws and Solid Frame actually draw. They do the same. But guess what? You just don't have any of those debuffs. So yeah, it's definitely for the better players to use. Now here's the other one you have, which I think is useless, called the Regeneration. Gain 25% increased health recovery rate from healing buffs, which so solo, you're not going to use that. And the only thing that can heal you is a Metri, and it's just not as good as anything else that example Carrion Feeder has to offer. So yeah, but the only good thing it does have is it increases bleed heal, fracture heal, poison heal, venom heal and toxin heal by 40%. So that is decent, but for solo I would use reverse jaws. For a group, carrying feeder. Moving on to your leg slot, this also plays into corpse. While you're near a first corpse, enemies within 75 meters have 10% reduced armor, and this does not stack, which is really good. So that plays into carrying feeder as well. Now for your back limb, I use the shove, lunge forward, knocking back enemies. So this is really good for movement, pushing people off of cliffs when they back themselves up, pushing people into your teammates to combo them, or push them into a charge. It's really good for getting away, getting to someone's side. It's just all around really good movement tech. You can use it to catch up to people as well. So that's my favourite one, and I think it's the best. Your other option is lunge. A lunge and bite attack that jumps forward, then back, dealing 100% increased damage within 75 meters of a corpse. Which it's okay, but here's the thing: it's kind of robotic, and it just seems very predictable. It does do good damage, but I just think shove has got a lot more to offer. And your last option is the taunt. So activate this to begin channeling a taunt. While taunt is active, it reduces your incoming damage by 25% and slows enemies within 75 meters by 10%. The taunt will cancel if you reach 30% health or less, and automatically trigger a rapid spin to face you behind, and grants 5% increased speed for 10 seconds. So here's the thing with taunt is maybe gets good in a group fight in a way, but if you have 3 ceratos, two are fighting and then someone's taunting, you become useless, and then your teammates get low, and it's just you, and it just doesn't play well into all for one. And solo it's useless because as soon as you stop taunting, it goes away. So yeah, I just prefer shove. It's got a lot more to offer than the other two. And then for your tail slot, you have Duke, which you don't have an option to pick anyway, but Duke just is a 180 behind you, and it does use stamina, but it is really good. It makes up for the bad turn radius the cerato has, and the 3 attacks that use stamina are Duke, charge bite, and shove. So you just be careful with those. Be mindful when you use them and how you use them. But yeah, that is pretty much the build, and I'm kind of gonna go over the gameplay and the weaknesses and stuff of this thing. So the build doesn't really start getting strong until you get that body down. So your main focus is, you and your group should focus to instantly take down the weakest thing you can, or just the easiest, because there's no point of trying to take down an Alio unless you get a bone snap on him, or he's maybe low and you shove into him. So yeah, so you want to get that corpse down, and you want to be playing within that corpse. Don't let people chase you away off of that corpse, and don't chase people away from that corpse. Let them come to you. Because that's just the main thing of the build of the cerato. You're supposed to be fighting around that corpse. Another thing I would like to go over is the team play. So you do have to play close to each other. I mean, that's all. That's what All for One is about. Staying close, and if you get low, don't die. It's very unnecessary, because at the end of the day, you're taking away that 8% damage. So you may as well leave the team, go up, heal, and then come back, instead of, say you die and then you spawn across the map, and that could cost you the fight. So yeah. And another thing is, you do kind of want to, you don't want to be the guy that just sits back the whole entire time. You want to get in there, because if you don't, your teammates end up dying, and then you're the last one alive, and then guess what? You just get absolutely destroyed, because you've got 0 buffs. This is all about team play, the cerato build. If you're using carrying feeder on All for One, obviously. If you're solo, you do whatever, you do what you have to do, but in a team setting, you really have to get in there, and but you have to be smart. Don't just aimlessly ape in and
charge bait your own teammates, stuff like that. You want to be careful with your charge baits. So here's the thing about charge bait. You want to use the charge bait more when, for example, you can see here, this Patchy is running away, and I'm gonna corner him right now. You're gonna see as the thing goes on, he gets himself stuck on this cliff, and I hit him with a charge bait. And that was a good use of a charge bait. So now I'm not gonna keep charge baiting. I've already bone broke him. No need. So now I just bite him to death, right? Because the bite is the most consistent thing and it's going to do the most damage. Try and charge bite someone and face tank. It's not going to work, you're going to die. So the bite is your main form of damage. The only time you want to be using the charge bite is if you have a good lineup, or if somebody's, you're right beside your teammate and he's already bone snapped, for example an alio, or fractured an alio, and then you're right there, and you've already got it charged up, then you do it as well. But there's no need for you to just be chasing people around with your mouth wide open, because first of all, you're not like the speed of an aerial where you can just catch up to these people. They kind of have to make the mistake to run into you, and you and your teammates should be cutting them off, you know, setting them up for that. Another way you can use the charge bait, I like to do it when someone puts themselves up against a cliff or up against the water. And then I'll charge bite them because I don't really want to face tank them with the bite. But if you're just tail riding someone, don't charge bite, that's pointless. And if someone's tail riding, don't start using your charge bait because you don't know when he's going to stop tail riding. So that whole time you've just wasted a bunch of stamina for no reason at all. So yeah. The main thing is use charge bait smartly. It shouldn't be your main form of attack. You'd only really be charging a few times. Your main two attacks should be the shove and just the normal bite. So yeah, I just see a lot of people charging and hitting each other, which is a really big problem, especially when someone's tail riding. Please, once again, I always say this, a lot of people I play with, they always have a problem where they will literally come in and charge their own teammate, which it just makes people take unnecessary damage, and you know, stuff like that just makes you lose fights, because you could be fighting a few dinos now and then a whole new group just comes over and you know, you can't do anything because you're already one hit. So another thing is a really good way to use the charge bait is when you bait someone in. Say you're running and then you do a quick turn to get them, but it's a lot harder to hit. And honestly, if someone has got decent awareness, then they're just going to move out the way. So just try and be smart with your charge. Now going on to the shove, you should really be trying to use that shove as much as you can, because it's a really good tool for cutting distance. When something's running away from you, like a Patchy or a Meg or even an Alio, you can catch up for a split second and get a few hits in, and that just might be enough. Same as in a kilo, you can literally catch in a kilo if you just keep shoving. I see a lot of people get a few hits and then they'll start charging up the bite to try and bone snap, which is a waste. Just bite. As soon as he gets a tiny bit away from you, then you shove. Don't try not to take a shove for a bite. For example, say someone's in front of you and then you shove them. That's not a good trade. You take the shove really doesn't do a lot of damage. It's really meant to cut distance on someone, and then you can use your bite. So yeah, I've just seen a lot of people not shoving enough when using the cerato, and it really just, you know, they miss out on a lot of kills and people just end up getting away. And that kind of makes the difference between a good cerato player and bad cerato players. Knowing when to charge, knowing when to juke, and knowing when to shove. Also, the juke, you really want to use it as much as you can. It's really, really good. You kind of see as the video goes on, I kind of change my controls to so I can hit. It's easier for me to get my first 3 abilities. I can combo those really well and actually switch my juke to B, and it really works well for me. Before I used to struggle with using the shove, bite and juke together, but now that I've changed it to B, it's really working well for me. And but keep in mind it does use stamina, but against like megs, conks and stuff, it's really good. And when you are on cooldown, just just precise turn. Don't do anything stupid. Don't start panicking. So yeah. Now say you get low, right? It doesn't matter. You want to stay close to your team unless you're really low and there's really a threat out there like an Alio that can chase you down. Maybe then you should hide and heal up. But if you're just fighting a Rex, and there's realistically a Rex shouldn't be able to punish you. You're too fast to be doing that, and you have shove also to get out of the way. So just stay close and just give the buffs to your own teammates. So that's also very important. Now remember what I said about you charging people? So there's only one exception that you can charge your own teammate, and that exception is when they're on decent health and there's not a threat, like for example a Rex, to punish your teammate for being fractured. So I'm going to give you an example. Earlier you saw me bone snap my friend, but at the same time he was fighting Apache and that Apache got stuck on him. That is a good exception of bone snapping someone, because without him being fractured he's going to get away, and that's a good trade for him to die and my friend to take some damage. So that is the only exception that you should be charging your own teammates, is when you can line up a small dino that can't get away at that point and you can actually finish the kill. Because here's the thing, getting people out of the fight is very important. Finishing the kill is very important, because if you don't finish that guy, guess what, he might come back and finish you off, or he just might be really annoying when he's constantly in the fight, just putting on small amounts of damage and just coming back and being pesky, keeping you from getting your stamina, stuff like that. And especially when you're fighting against big groups, that gets really annoying. They just keep piling and piling more people. So kill efficiency is very important as well. And the good thing about 5 ceratos, it's 10 slots, and honestly it's such a strong combination. So like, it may feel to people that you're way overpacked, but you're literally in slot. It's really good. You can fight so many things because you take 45% reduced damage, and that's pretty much half the damage that you would normally be taking. Another good way to use charge bite, for example, you see this Spino here, right? I'm using my charge bite just to slow him down from getting into the water, because I'm very sure that I can kill this guy in time. Same as using your shove. It's good to use your shove to kick people away from getting to the water or getting to certain places. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. I think I've learnt enough of telling people how to play the cerato, but yeah. So now I'm just going to go over the gameplay and the thought process of the things that I'm doing. And you can see I actually chase this Spino in, and there's a circle, but he actually doesn't even do that much damage because of the scoots and stuff. So it's actually, you're actually very tanky. And here we went up to the central waystone, and I found this DASP, and I literally 1v1 this DASP. I asked my friends if they could let me 1v1 this guy, so I was pretty confident I could beat this guy. Honestly, he wasn't a very good player either. So, and I did get that Alpha 1 buff as well, so that's a thing. And the whole time I'm trying to not to face tank this guy, get behind him and just tail ride as much as I can, but Cerato's a little bit clunky, is quite bulky, so you do get stuck sometimes. But yeah, main thing is just tail ride this guy, and you can see I kill him really easily. And this Aloe just spawned in. This is literally right after that DASP. You can see I'm still low on health. And I'm using that shove to cut up on distance as soon as he hits me back with that tail. And he was on debuff for a second, and we got a few bites in on him. And this guy's just running, which to a cliff, which honestly wasn't too bad. But he didn't really do anything with that. He just, you know, he didn't really do anything with that. And there's no way he's gonna be able to beat 3 ceratos, even if it was a face fight. So yeah, and you can see my friend got him there. And here I thought I seen a Metri run to the central waste zone, and I could hear this Meg resting, and that's what gave this guy away. And he was just sitting in the bush. And you'll see here, I'll start using my shove to catch up on him. Or I guess I just never use the shove. But yeah, sometimes it is good to preserve your stamina, because the only problem with shove is you don't. So obviously in the meantime you do cut more distance, like you're faster, but you use more stamina, so you're not able to travel as much distance as you would without shove. But it's necessary to use it when you need to catch up on something. Anyway, the circle and duck got real comfortable with going on the land, so obviously we kill him for it. You know, I didn't crouch with this guy or anything, but we also weren't being aggressive, because why would I be aggressive to a circle in the water? It's not like I can punish him in any way, but if I see him on land, that's a different story. And we couldn't really do much to the duck. He just goes to the water. And here, this iguanodon was just about, there was 3 Rexes, and I'm not going to be able to kill 3 Rexes. Even with the ceratos, it's going to be difficult, especially without a corpse. But there actually was a corpse here, so that wasn't that bad. But either way, 3 Rexes, as long as they defend themselves pretty well, it's a long fight. It's doable. But the only problem is that they'll probably just go to water edge and, you know, just use the water to their advantage, and then you just can't do anything. Anyway, I hit a bone snap on this guy, which it was kind of meant just to slow him down a little bit. It wasn't meant to do a lot of damage. But you can see this guy's using block and the thumb barrage, which actually does a lot of damage. It's very hard to get a hit off on this guy and not take damage. You have to tail ride him for that, and honestly I thought he would have had kick, but yeah, he just didn't have kick, which was actually very nice. But either way, you can see he puts himself up against this water, and that's fine. But I seen Albert, and I was hoping if I fight this Albert, this iguanodon is gonna come out and fight us, because he's gonna get a little bit confident. You know, now it's 2 herbies, and you know the Albert is strong. It puts up a good fight against really anything. And you can see instantly get in there. And you can see even with the charge how slow he is, because he's been bone snapped. Not bone snapped, sorry, fractured. That helped a lot. And you can see the iguanodon actually does get confident. Good thing about this is now I can start punishing this guy. He's going to play a lot more aggressive and a lot more careless. But I was hoping my teammates could take care of the Albert. But I seen it was taking them a while, so I decided to come and help them. And you can see I just start tail riding them, and this is the correct thing to do. Is just tail ride the Albert. I'm surprising he didn't have kick, but yeah. And this iguanodon was just, you know, swimming everywhere. Iguanodon has got very good swim, so I just switched to my Suko. And I literally, you can see I was on debuff there. I literally just logged on this thing, and I managed to creep up on him, and without him seeing me at all. Here's the thing, he's not going to get away from the Suko, because he was swimming everywhere, so he's probably low on stam. Also going uphill and downhill, he's just not faster. So yeah, there's nothing this guy could have done, but he actually does end up putting up a decent fight either way. just because of how strong the iguanodon is. But yeah, I'm actually gonna make a sequel video soon, but I've just been having trouble with picking what build I want to run, but I think I've got it figured out now. But yeah, that was pretty much it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed.